Williams and Bill Cox. The director's chair. Focus on film, projects and people.
Welcome to the Director's Chair. This is a program where we interview people in the entertainment business, actors, directors, producers, writers, and today we're fortunate because we're going to interview all of the above in the form of Mr. Bill Cox. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. The audition's going pretty well for you to take my seat.
You're the director's, the director's chair.
Well, you know, kind of funny, our audience out there, director's chair, for a few years, we've been a radio show. But now we became a television program. And Bob, I hope you feel better, Bob.
And Bob is who?
Bob Willems is the co-host. And so we've been doing it quite a while, but now we're going over to video or to TV. And it's kind of weird because I've always interviewed people. I haven't been the interviewee before. So
That seems like a warm seat, if not a hot seat.
I'm sure it'll get hotter, but it's only mildly warm at the moment.
Well, tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get into, the entertainment business as such?
Well, I started out, I think in life, you don't really have to go back, search too far to find out what you want to become. It's whatever you liked to do when you were a kid and just kind of age that. I always wanted to be a writer and a speaker, and I never knew what I wanted to write or speak about. But I always loved stories. I was raised on a farm in Michigan and surrounded by farmers. And I always loved going to church and hearing all those stories. And so I just loved that. And I was in the Navy, and then I also moved to Houston. I became a DJ, a wedding DJ. And that was awesome. Being in the production and of people's happiest day, and being an event producer, and doing that, I did a bunch of voiceover commercial work because I have a Michigan accent.
I thought a Michigan accent was no accent.
Right. Well, essentially that's kind of it, lack of accent.
Right.
And so that helped me get a lot of voiceover work. I did a lot of message on hold. Hey, thank you for calling. We'll be right back with you. A representative will be with you in a week. No. And so I did a fair amount of that, but I always liked to write. Wrote a couple of wedding books. That was okay. Writing a book is a pretty lonely, solitary process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you write it. Then you turn your manuscript out. Well, you write it, you rewrite it, and then you rewrite it. Then you turn it over to a book editor, and then they have you rewrite it. And then eventually you'll get it done, and hopefully it sells and you get some checks, which is different from the film business.
How so?
The film business, you get to work with all these other creative people. And so although you have an idea and you're writing a storyline, it isn't done when it's written. It's done when it's performed. And from the time that it's written, you don't know how many different variations it could take until the time it's actually performed. And it's a quite wonderful process. And so I've always totally enjoyed it. And then, of course, this being the animated Bill Cox, I obviously love animation and doing animation.
Well, you seem to be a pretty animated guy too.
Thanks for noticing.
It kind of makes me think of an article I read recently when you're talking about the process and the people with whom you're involved in that creative process. And that was T. Boone Pickens. And he's 88 years old, and he's been asked numerous times, well, you're 88 years old, why don't you retire? And he said, why would I want to retire? He said, I love going to work every day with smart, talented, creative people. I mean, it adds so much to my life. And kind of a similar experience for yourself. You know? And the other thing is I read someplace about editing film. How you can take all the footage that's shot to make one film and make 3 totally different movies out of it.
Oh, no question about it. And a couple of lessons that I've learned about filmmaking. If you nail an audition, if you go in as an actor, and any of you actors out there, don't get depressed if you did not get the part. You may have nailed the audition, you may have known the lines, you may have been awesome, but you may not be the appropriate look that the director or producer or writer is looking for. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing about my career. When I was in my 20s, if I went to an audition, there'd be 30, 40 people competing with me. I'm in my 50s now. They typically call me if they have a role for a 50-year-old person and they want me to audition for it. They know my skill. I have a track record of so many projects that I've done. They know my skill set. They know what I can bring, as opposed with having to separate myself from the other 30 people that are out there.
You've kind of achieved the status of being that guy.
That guy, right.
You know, when they think of this particular role, they're going, that's a Bill Cox role. We need to give Bill a call.
Right.
So the next question, I know you've done a lot of different projects, both animated and in film, but I've also heard that you have made animated trailers for the film version of the movie. And I'm just kind of curious as to why or how that process began.
Beer and Seed. Yeah. We're going to show that. I believe they're going to show that trailer later. I just love animation. And I finished Beer and Seed. And with animation, the difference between that and live is you get to control the whole frame with animation. And you get to emphasize things differently, like making something explode or using different colors to take the person, the viewer, and have a theater of the mind.
So
with them.
Kind of what I'm hearing is if reality doesn't quite cut it for you, you go with animation.
Go with animation. Absolutely. Then you can kick it up a notch or two.
Well, I'll tell you what. We have some video clips of your work, and the first one we're going to look at is, it might be considered by some to be not PC. And the reason for that, the title is, I Love the Fat Chick. Tell me a little bit more about that before we see it.
I Love the Fat Chicks is, or Fat Chick, is probably my first but also best known project that I've done. It's based on a true story. I went to a club and I met this fat chick there. Had a great time, and then the next week I went to the same club. There were only skinny missies there, and you know, they didn't want to pay attention to me, and I made the rest of the story up. You know,
good filmmaking, right?
That's right.
It's not a documentary.
That's right. It's not a documentary, though. But being a DJ, I've always liked music. Mm-hmm. And the quick story about production of this was I wrote it. I wanted it to be a dance song. And so I hired the studio and had a producer there, and we were ready to kick it off. I had a rap band that was going to do it. and the rapper didn't show.
The rapper didn't show?
Rapper didn't show. So we're sitting there, can't get a hold of him. And Michael Traverso was the music producer. Awesome guy. He says, "Hey, Bill, you know, you're kind of a public speaker. You ever seen any of these deaf poetry jam or, you know, poetry slams or anything like that?" And I have done some poetry, but I hadn't done it as, musical poetry. So we did, and it turned out pretty awesome, and
I think
won
so.
a few awards with it. And it's called "I Love the Fat Chicks."
So, you think we should cue that up? Let the audience see it?
Let's do it.
It's got a catchy hook to it, I'll tell you.
Very nice.
I went to the club. Give me a beat! I went to the club. She was there, a bit of a chub. But she had a nice face, so I took her to my place. There was a lot to love. I loved the fat chick. She was big and round. I loved the fat chick. Didn't have to pay by the pound. I loved the fat chick. I went back to my spot out at the club. Love, definitely not. I was looking for something to rub. Only skinny missies I didn't see. Those vain bitches wanted nothing to do with me. Where was the fat chick? Where was the fat chick? She was big and round. I loved the fat chick, and I didn't have to pay by the pound. I loved the fat chick. Being home alone, I was tired of that. Put on the rags and I went back. I saw this girl who I'd seen before, but from what I remember, there was a whole lot more. Yes, I was fat, can't you see? But I've had gastro and lipo, now there's a skinny me. You had your chance, she screamed and yelled. Now I can get anyone, you go to hell. I loved the fat chick. She was big and round. I loved the fat chick, and I didn't have to pay by the pound. I loved the fat chick. Now she's no longer around. I love the fat chick. Maybe she'll gain some pounds. I love the fat chick. I love the fat chick.
Well, I think a little round of applause is in order here. Well, what did you think? I thought it was pretty cool. And it just really captures a lot of stuff in there. It's not just funny and cute. There's a real, as I was telling Bill while we were watching that, there's kind of a social commentary about that. In that when you look one way, you'll accept one thing, but if you look better, then that may not be as acceptable to you. And I was just wondering if that thought was going through your mind when you wrote this.
Superficially, I wrote it the first time, but then I also started seeing the B and C storyline threads that you could put through this as I got into it deeper and deeper. I didn't intentionally start out that way, but it certainly ended up that way. And I've had people actually protest against me for that song for using the term fat chick, but you don't understand. It says, I love the fat chicks.
Yeah.
And say, you're what are you protesting me for?
Right.
But that's the irony of it, but it's great. And, I won a poetry slam with it one time, and the lady gave me the trophy and goes, we'd like to award this to Bill Cox, first place, and we'll invite him back when he has more appropriate material. So I won and got kicked out at the same time. That's a double win for me.
It's really interesting how some words have become offensive just in and of themselves. Fat being one of them. You never hear skinny people complaining about being called skinny.
Right, and the thing about it is, because they've made it fat, made it bad, they also made it to where it could be used as a clothing label, fat clothing label. So it's got a little bit of naughty connotation to it.
I haven't seen the fat clothing label. But,
yeah,
plus,
PHAT.
Yeah. Oh, right. Gotcha. I didn't catch the spelling.
Sorry.
But, mostly it's like plus size, or I forget there's another one out there, and I forget what it is. So what did you like best about what you did in that song? Was there a particular line or phrase?
As far as that song goes, also the kind of the desperation of the person in it as well. I went back to my spot out at the club. That's his only life too. So yes, there's a character in it that's going through some transformation in the woman, but also the desperation in the guy. So I think that makes the poetry even richer.
Well, you know what? I've been in a relationship for a very long time and haven't been in clubs per se, but I'm guessing that most clubs have a fair amount of desperation in them.
Oh, no question about it. And me being a DJ, I've seen that.
I'll bet.
I've seen that up close. And but they have to have a place to go.
Right.
Go somewhere. So
it's better than hiding at home in your bedroom.
Well, that's right. And the thing about it is,
not that I have.
right. Or at least not clothed. The thing about it too, about I Love the Fat Chick, is that it's got that hip hop beat, but so often with songs nowadays you can't hear the words. I like to be able to hear the words, and I also would like for them to make sense and have a point. Okay, so that was another thing that I wanted to do, but also music has kind of gotten full of itself and kind of angry. And so that is my own way of poking fun at it. Don't take yourself too seriously, music. You're just a song, So it's kind of comedy hip hop, and I've won awards in that, in the animation and in the music video category, and comedy also.
It's interesting that you use that expression, it's just a song, because ultimately it is just a song.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much power and persuasiveness just a song can have. It can move people to do things, change their mind, their view on social issues. It truly is amazing. So who knows? I Love the Fat Chick could be, moving across the country, making all sorts of positive changes.
I was at House of Blues and doing a DJ show, and someone had seen me do Fat Chicks before, and they wanted me to do it there. They recognized me at House of Blues. I was DJing.
A celebrity.
I was a celebrity, right. I was in the small room. So small. A small room, big celebrity. Big as in size. And so I did the Fat Chicks, and people were cheering. And after I was done, because it was late at night, a heavyset girl was singing "I Love the Fat Chick" as she, just singing the chorus, "I love the fat chicks, I love the fat chick," as she left. And I wondered how I should take that. Did I change her night, or is this a total change in attitude?
Yeah, you never know. You have a lot of influence, Bill. Use it for good.
Right. Well, right. That's right. And didn't realize it. Didn't realize it. So.
Well, we have another animated short coming up here, and I'm not unfamiliar with this one. I'm real familiar with "I Love the Fat Chick," and this one is new to me. And the title of it is "Doctor's Pill." Is that correct?
Doctor's Pills.
Let me ask now. This didn't evolve from like Mother's Little Helper, did it?
No. It's Father's Little Helper.
Uh-oh.
And
is that what animates the shorts?
Right. Maybe we ought to see this one, and then I'll explain it a little. But I've won some awards with this one. It's short, but it's awesome.
Okay. Is that what she said?
Yeah. Right. No, not after Doctor's Pills.
Well, let's go ahead and check out Doctor's Little Pill.
Hi there, Dr. Bill here. Like many of you, I sometimes suffer from erectile dysfunction. I know, hard to believe. But now I use Doctor's Boner Pills. It's great. Oops, probably shouldn't have taken one before I made this commercial.
Me either.
Whoa! Doctor's Boner Pills, dangerously effective.
Definitely some mixed messages there, folks. I'm afraid to ask what the inspiration for this one was.
Okay, well, let me tell you the awards that I've won with this have been from all the LGBT, gay, queer film festivals. I've won in the commercial, comedy, and of course animated short division. I was at a party and I was talking to a guy who was a doctor, and he'd created male enhancement pills. And we got to talking, and he goes, "Man," he goes, "I like your personality. You'd be a good salesman. Why don't you sell these pills that I've made?" And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? Me selling male enhancement pills? I mean, what do I do? Go to a gas station and, okay, yeah, can you put these back next to the Copenhagen and, on the other side of the Marlboros or something? It was ridiculous. But I also, at that same time, was watching some things unfold about the LGBT, about the prejudice and that kind of thing, society pressures and the evolution of them as a community. And I wanted to do something that was light, something that was just funny, but it was inclusive. Mm-hmm. Because it just seemed like all the media and attention, everything was just so heavy, and I just kind of wanted to cheer everybody up.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's like entertainment. There's room for everyone. And the same should be true with society. I mean, we all have a place. We're all important.
And you should be able to laugh at situations as they come up.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I sat down late one night, and I wrote it. And and I got a hold of the animator, and once we did it, and I showed it to a couple of friends, and they asked me, Bill, how come you are in these animations of yours? And I told them, I go, because if anybody's going to get offended about it, it can go on me. Because you don't necessarily know how people are going to take this kind of thing. So rather than just put some random look on it, I had myself put in it. So if there was going to be any criticism about it, that you don't have far to look.
Well, I'm kind of wondering, because I know you have a background in stand-up comedy, and you write your own material. And when you write your own material, you're really putting yourself on the line because you don't know how it's going to be. You're up there in front of people, drinking people most likely. And when you put that out there, it takes a lot of guts.
But also, not only does it take a lot of guts, it takes a lot of dexterity. Because here's the thing. A joke that works in downtown area, a fairly liberal area, may not work in the suburbs, a more conservative area. The same material, it may have killed here, but it might be terrible here.
In Dowagiac, Michigan, not so much.
That's right.
In case you didn't know, Bill's from Dowagiac, Michigan.
Yeah, you know, I always wanted to be a traffic guy for a small town. Yeah, I'm just calling in with traffic, and it's backed up for as far as we can see. Hold on a second. It's moving now. Never mind. The light turned green.
So, Dowagiac actually had a light?
I think we're up to like 3.
Whoa! Because the town I grew up in just had a stop sign. There was no light. Stop sign and a gas station, that was it.
Well, if you had a liquor store, you'd have the trifecta.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
Ah.
We had to go into the next town to get liquor. Well, in high school, that's what I heard.
Right.
I didn't know for sure.
Right.
So we got another animated short coming up here, and the title, it seems really appropriate for the world in which we live today, called Computer Virus Cure.
Oh, God.
And I'm a little bit familiar with this. Like most of Bill's work, it's funny, and I think everyone watching will get a kick out of it. Bill, you want to give us a little background before we see it?
Actually, yes. I wrote this computer virus cure right after I had a computer virus in my system. And like most writers out there, I have inventory.
Yeah. Go figure. Right?
That's right. Yeah, you have inventory. And I lost a lot of it. And so I took it out on this script.
Quick question. Inventory, is that synonymous with what hasn't sold yet?
Or what even hasn't been completed yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, computer virus cure. It's awesome. I hope you like it.
Well, unlike most things today, that really was a quick fix.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And probably personally satisfying to boot.
Oh, and permanent, a permanent fix too. It's just, it seems like these computer hackers, they make your life miserable for their entertainment, and that's what I hope to illustrate by this particular short. And damn you, I have my blood and my soul and my sweat in this stuff that I've created, and you're just a knucklehead, and you're just putting some kind of worm or some kind of malware out there to randomly infect and affect people out there that
Right.
you don't even know.
Well, they're kind of like terrorists with no agenda.
Absolutely.
Just out there just making people's lives miserable, costing them all kinds of aggravation, money, time. It's a big problem.
And I've had people email me. I have most of the stuff on YouTube, and it's just under Bill Cox, or I'm also on Facebook under Bill Cox.
Feel free
Bill
to plug
Cox.
yourself. Come on.
Right. But who have thanked me for that, because that's the way they feel
Right.
about it as well. And not everybody has the opportunity to put it out like that. So that was written with anger. I swear I must have cracked some keys on my keyboard as I was writing that one. I was livid.
Actually, I can't imagine, because I had a similar situation where I don't know how it happened, but it got all of my stuff. I'm not going to give any commercial benefit to who fixed it for me, but I had to take it someplace and have it taken care of. And it's and the odd thing is, I don't consider myself to be a big computer sort of guy.
Right.
But my computer was gone for 2 days, and it was like I had to learn a new routine.
Right.
It really, really affects you. I mean, it's something you really get used to. It's kind of like a crutch,
That's
if you
right.
use it long enough, pretty soon you need it.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
And apparently I've used it long enough.
Right.
Okay, the next one we're going to look at, just the title alone probably resonates with a lot of people. Save Me.
Wow. Save Me is a really out there video illustration. And I guess that's one thing about this show, the animated Bill Cox, is that there's so many different categories in film festivals. I go through a portal, and they have over 4,500 film festivals available.
Really?
And you used to think that a film festival would have just one or two categories, feature or a short. That is not the case now. Of course, you have features, shorts, animation, comedy, and this new category called illustrated video, which is a combination of illustrations. And with my work with Charlie Weiss, he's a painter. He's a world-class painter. And what I like about him is, on a lot of the stuff he does, my favorite artist is Jackson Pollock. And he does a lot of splatter effect. And so I got to know him a little bit. And we talked about doing a project together. And essentially it's 10 different panels, and with a voiceover and background. And he has these paintings. And so it adds a different element to his gallery shows, because in addition to the paintings, he has this little illustration going with a projector. So it adds life to the painting. And this is called Save Me.
Save Me.
Save Me. And we can discuss. I don't want to give it away until after you see it. But it has been totally well received. I'm not used to being into the art field necessarily. I'm more of an entertainment. I enjoy, the writing side. This has been kind of a new project for me, working with artists as opposed with, the animators and that kind of thing. It's just different, but very cool, and enjoyed it. And I hope you hope you enjoy it.
You're really a Jackson Pollock fan.
Oh yeah, I love him.
That's interesting because when I was a lot younger, I thought to myself, Jackson, all he does is throw paint, splatters paint, I mean, anybody can do that, but it's kind of like a paintbrush. Anybody can pick up a paintbrush too.
True.
That doesn't mean they're going to make good art.
Not to get too far off of the subject, but I saw some of his works in concert. And when you look at the thickness of the paint, and you can almost see the fury with which he took his stick and threw it, because it was waves and the grooves and stuff, and the size of these paintings.
Oh,
it's mesmerizing. And the thing about working with Charlie Weiss is this: his paintings have a focal point, and when you see each one, you're looking at a focal point which he blows out of proportion. He's kind of like a Max Ernst, the guy who had the apple in the window and the apple's huge, kind of thing. And he plays with proportions like that. It's just awesome. It's just great. Just love it.
Well, I can see some passion coming through there, Bill. I think you do have an artist heart.
I don't do it, but I sure enjoy it. Right. I mean, I have my own art that I do, but I sure enjoy, the rest of it. And it was great to work with him on this one.
I bet it was. Well, in that case, I think it's time to save me. What do you think?
Save me.
Okay, let's take a look.
What's she doing there? On the bridge? Is she crying? The crowd is gathering. Hey, what's going on? Popcorn, corn dogs, $1. Popcorn, corn dogs, $1. Hey, look at that guy. Hey, he's gonna save her. Oh my God! Oh my God! They're both gone. Popcorn, corn dogs, 35 cents. Popcorn, corn dogs, 35 cents. Oh my God! Save me!
Powerful images, Bill. Tell me,
Darker.
what were you trying to convey? What kind of message were you trying to put across?
The message of this was, regardless, life goes on. And a lot of times, people just don't care. They're there for the show. They're not really there for the real impact. And that's when I saw his paintings, all I could think of is, a girl on a bridge. That would draw a crowd. But do they really want to save her? No, they want to be there for the train wreck.
Yeah.
And that's the carnival atmosphere, the, popcorn, corn dogs.
I think that's why car racing is so popular. One of the reasons.
Right, yeah, waiting for the accident.
Right.
And the thing about it is, a person coming out of the crowd, maybe that person's sick of it too.
Maybe what?
That person is sick of it too.
Right.
Sick of not making a difference, of just going through life and saying that, hey, I'm with you. And save me doesn't mean to everybody to help them down from the bridge. That's not going to save everybody. And I know you have a background in crisis counseling, but that's, to some people, that's going to make it worse.
You know, who knows? It's just a bunch of images. But one of the things that occurred to me, the guy who came out of the crowd to stand up there with her, had so much empathy. He didn't want her to die alone.
Yeah.
He wanted to accompany her, you know, perhaps make the trip smoother, better, whatever. But really powerful images, Bill. I was really moved by that.
It's one of those things that I've watched, and I'm so used to being into the comedy aspect of filmmaking and writing and stuff. It slaps me back to the reality that not everything in life is funny. There's times that when you have to make a stand for something, and you'll know when it's right, and make it.
Yeah, when you can't help yourself. You know?
That's right.
You know, when you stand up when everyone else is sitting down, you know,
Right.
there's some powerful forces at work there.
Right.
And maybe it is true, Bill. You know, they say every comedian has a real dark side, you know?
Right.
And I don't know if that's where the humor comes from, but I think it's obviously a way of offsetting that dark side.
I've always tried to stay away from, I don't have a problem doing dark comedy and dark humor, but I can't do horror because I can't watch it. I mean, not that it's necessarily good or bad, or it doesn't matter. My imagination is such that I believe it, and I believe it would happen to me. And if anything like that happened, they would come after me with a chainsaw and catch me.
Yeah.
You know, because I just believe it. So I don't really have those kind of elements that I work with very often. But, and I think that's one thing about indie filmmaking and filmmaking in general. You get to work with all these other creative people. And because I'm an indie filmmaker, I don't really have to answer to sponsors or anything like that. If it's something that I can afford to do and it moves me, I can do it. And when I had the opportunity to work with Charlie Weiss, I knew that was something that I wanted to do.
That's really neat. You know, because obviously you have a lot of respect for his work.
All right, yeah.
And now he probably has respect for your work.
Yeah. We're hoping that we get a chance to do something bigger and better next time.
Well, I hope that next time comes up soon.
Yeah.
And now we're ready for another interesting animated short, one that I'm familiar with. Really enjoyed participating in that, the original, the live action. Beer and Seed.
Beer and Seed.
I've heard that this may be somewhat autobiographical. I don't know for sure. Bill, why don't you tell us?
Beer and Seed, the feature. It's available on Amazon.com. Voted best indie comedy. A labor of love. It was just a wonderful project, and of course, John, you were awesome.
Well, thank you, Bill.
Awesome in it, and just like every other project that I do, strong characters, more than one storyline. It's really it's about a veteran that goes to college for a second chance to start over at life, and realizes that there's a lot of challenges there in his way as he tries to earn his degree. And he meets those challenges in some very creative ways. After I shot that and we had the original trailer, I just looked at it and I liked it, but I was in the animation mode and just wanted to create an animated trailer, even though it's a live action feature, just for something different, just for something different, and it was great, and I've won in movie trailer and of course animation categories with this.
You're awesome, Bill. You know that? I mean, the other thing too is animation. Look how big animation has gotten in entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
It's like every month there's a new animated film coming out that people just can't wait to get to, take their kids to. I mean, some people are, sneaking in without children. But,
Right.
I mean, there's a support group of them.
Right.
And I'm sure everything will be okay. But let's take a look at Beer and Seed.
Excellent.
Universities are the cradle of learning and leadership. Typically old and young or separate, where young minds can feel safe and free from temptations and issues such as drinking, drugs, bullying.
You bastard!
Beer and Seed, a Bill Cox film.
Okay, I can't tell. Is that going to be a comedy or not?
Yeah, right.
Looks a little dark to me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dark comedy, but as you can tell, the veteran is kind of shy, so he only puts one pen through the other bully's hand.
That bully just didn't know who he was messing with, huh?
Oh, he found out.
Yes.
He found out.
Let me introduce myself.
Yeah, it only goes downhill for him from there. So, yeah, it was a wonderful project. It's kind of like the evolution of an artist. You, as a writer anyway, I wrote a fair amount of shorts, and some of the things that we've seen in short stories, and I wrote a couple of books. But as a filmmaker, you're not really in the club until you've done a feature. Mm-hmm. And it's an arduous process. Not only the writing, but the all the pre-production and the shooting and the post. It's a long process. I mean, even to make a crappy one.
The process is the same.
The process is the same. But you've arrived once you have a feature completed. You might still be wearing Sperry's, but at least you've arrived.
Sperry's are good. I like Sperry's. So let me ask you a question about the difference between doing a short and doing a feature. The process. I mean, obviously, physically making it is different. It's much more arduous, as you said. But what about the preparation for it? What kind of differences do you encounter?
I think anyone can do a short, because typical shorts are a one-day shoot. You get your talent, you get your equipment, and you shoot it. and you're done. At the end of the day, whatever you have, you're pretty much done. Whereas when you're a feature, you have the carryover from day to day or week to week. The continuity issues, the personnel issues that can sabotage your effort. It's you've put much more into it from as far as writing the script. Everything has been more time consuming and expensive to get to the point of just shooting where you're really starting to spend the money. But then also you have the challenges of the continuity of the film and if everything is going to work together. So what helps me as a filmmaker compared to other people is I'm a writer and I write on set. Some person may not be able to deliver a certain line. They can't say that's it. Maybe they can say that will be it. Or you can change a few words or use their natural inflections or their natural wording that they would use. But if you don't pay attention to that, it can change the whole film. And it can change the whole character, the whole meaning, the whole story arc.
It's kind of like the butterfly effect.
Exactly. You fix one bug and you might create 2 or 3 other ones. And they might be worse. One of the tricks that I have, and I don't know who taught it to me, but it's worked every time, is this. I shoot the ending, if not first, second, up front. Because then I can leave I look over the footage and I can leave little morsels, along the way that will bring us to this point. Or this particular character has a characteristic, let's go ahead and throw that in these other scenes, I'm not opposed to shooting an ending twice, but I don't want to shoot it twice if I haven't seen what's going to lead up to that ending, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And Bill, I have to tell you, it's been an honor having you here. And before we go, I'm sure the audience wants an answer to this question. It's kind of a burning question, one that a lot of people wonder about, but they don't know anyone in the business to really get the answer. And that is, what kind of casting couch did you use?
It was a big one. It was a man-sized casting couch.
Well, thank you, Bill. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, folks, for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm John Sick. Have a pleasant day.
Chair. Focus on film, projects and people with Bob Williams and Bill Cox. The director's chair. Focus on film, projects and people.